Hi everybody, Stella Jade here, and I'm going to read the first chapter of The Heir of Light and Shadows. I hope you enjoy. Can we cut the small talk, Director? Brody said, taking his mug of coffee in one of his big, firm hands. He didn't mean to be disrespectful. Normally, he was polite, thoughtful, cheerful even, but he knew Nunez wasn't there to trade recipes. Nunez, unperturbed, kept her dark-hooded eyes fixed on Brody as she sipped coffee from Brody's shit-just-got-real mug, a keepsake from his sister's wedding. The mug was apropos of the director of the FBI being at his home. He knew whatever she wanted was serious. As if on cue, in her husky voice, she said, "I have a job for you." Instinct found Brody shaking his head no before the word even came to his lips. He wasn't going back to the FBI. Not for anything. Not after. "No," he said. "I'm out. I've been out. And the past 6 months have been surprisingly peaceful for me." "Brody, relax. I'm not asking you to come back to the Bureau." "You're not?" he asked. He leaned his large, muscular body forward, curious now to hear what request brought the director of the FBI to his house. "It's a special job for me. Off the books. I can't involve the FBI or anyone official for that matter." "Okay," he replied. "You have my attention." Brody hadn't known Nunez for long, only for those 2 years he worked for the Bureau. But what he did know about her was she was a strict play-by-the-rules director. Her needing him for something off the books was a deviation from her usual character. He sat back in his chair again, relaxing his broad shoulders against the back of his off-white sofa. Nunez sat tall across from him in one of his navy blue accent chairs. She kept her shiny black hair in her usual tight, low bun and wore her gray suit, and Brody wondered if she ever wore anything but. "You know, my father was a good, honest man." Nunez's eyes glazed over with a faraway look as she spoke. "He always told me that having a few fiercely loyal friends was better than a lot of fair-weather ones. He kept his circle small and urged me to do the same." Nunez paused for a sigh. She cupped her mug in both hands, not meeting Brody's eyes as she spoke. "My father had a friend named Harold, whom I grew up knowing well. He was a quiet, stocky man, fiercely loyal friend to my father, and my father to him. If my father ever needed anything, Harold was there. After my mother left us, there were days I thought we might not eat. But Harold took care of us, got my father back on his feet." She paused again before continuing. "On his deathbed, my father asked me if I would look after Harold once he was gone. So I did. I visited him at least once a week, brought him a hot dinner, made sure his nurses were caring for him properly. Then, one day last year, Harold asked me if I could help him with something important. He was reluctant to tell me the details, but he said he'd run out of people to trust." Brody hadn't realized Nunez was this human. She had a standoffish, impersonal approach to people, so her sharing these intimate details about her father and his friend was intriguing, to say the least. Harold Yates was an interesting man with a fascinating lineage. He had inherited a large sum of money. We're talking about enough money to challenge even the royal family's assets. Consequently, people were looking to kill him and his family over that inheritance. You said was. Brody said, sipping his coffee again. Harold was an interesting man. Does that mean... He's dead, yes, but of natural causes, thank God. Why would someone want to kill Harold's family for this inheritance? It's complicated, even more than I could have imagined. What does Harold's inheritance have to do with why you're here? I'll tell you everything in due time, but I'm here because I need you to protect a member of Harold's family, his granddaughter. She's 32, only child. Her mother died in an accident when she was 18, and she was estranged from Harold. He kept it that way on purpose, to protect her. She has no idea about her inheritance or... Nunez stopped, swallowing hard, like she was doing everything in her power to not say the rest. Nunez shifted in her seat and then cleared her throat. Her voice became even raspier as she spoke. Brody, how comfortable are you with the uncomfortable? You're talking in tongues, Director. There's a lot more to this case, and I need to know you would be all in, no matter what you learn. The proposition sounded intriguing, mysterious, and maybe a little frightening, all the qualities that had drawn Brody to the FBI in the first place. But Brody was no senior special agent. He wasn't any kind of agent anymore. So he asked the question that had been burning in his mind since the moment Nunez arrived. Why me? You were a good agent, Brody. Cut the shit, Director. I was a junior agent with basic skills at best. Why me? Nunez sighed. You have empathy, Brody. You're the kind of guy that will do the right thing. I need that. Lizzie needs that. We don't see that much anymore. Everyone's either too scared or too busy helping the wrong people, and I don't know exactly what we're going to learn once we get deeper into this case. I need someone who isn't attached. And you fit the description. Was Brody's response as he studied Nunez's penetrating eyes. She needed someone who had nothing to lose. He let out a heavy sigh as his eyes focused on a picture frame on his fireplace mantel. He and Nina, grinning widely as they held each other tightly on Hemi's yacht. 10 years down the drain. Well, fuck Nina, and fuck Hemi too, he thought. They deserved each other. Brody had already lost everything. He took a sip of his coffee. It had cooled down, but still tasted good. I'll do it. Good, Nunez said. Welcome to the shadows, Brody. Do I get a team? Nunez contemplated his request for a moment. I trust you'll only recruit people you trust completely, she said. They'll be filled in on an as-needed basis. And I'm going to bring a couple of my own to the team as well. She stood up, smoothing out her suit. As I said, I'll brief you more as you go along, but here's what you need to know for now. Lizzie is a graduate student at Rutgers University, Camden. She's getting a master's degree in psychology, and we've just intercepted one of her classes and replaced it with another one. You're going to play the role of a graduate student, and on Wednesday, you'll show up at Rutgers campus, Building 133, Auditorium 2. What class am I taking? Nunez smirked as she stood from her seat. One I think you'll enjoy. The professor teaching the class is a trusted retired agent. He is an actual professor and has been teaching classes like this for years. I need you to be into this student thing. And here I thought I was done with school. Brody's joke did not elicit a smile from Nunez. She made her way to the front door, Brody following her. As she grabbed for the door handle, she turned. Wednesday, before class, we'll meet to go over more. I appreciate your help with this matter, Brody, and you'll be paid well for your services. Good. He needed the money, now that Nina was living off half of his with his best friend. He growled under his breath at the thought. But you should know that while I'm no longer officially your boss, and you don't work for the Bureau anymore, for this job, I'm in charge. And I have 3 rules that you must swear to stick to. Okay. 1. You're going to need to be all in emotionally, but you must never get too close to Lizzie, no matter how closely you find yourself working with her. Don't get too close to the subject, Brody smiled. Got it. 2. Don't interfere unless it's necessary. Don't interfere unless the whole thing is going to shit. Got it. And lastly, and most importantly, never tell Lizzie any details about this case. Aye, aye, Director. And one last thing, Nunez said, gripping the handle of the door tightly. You said 3 things. This is different, Brody. Her tone had changed and became more serious while Brody braced himself for an inevitable lecture. What happened to your uncle wasn't your fault. Nunez looked around Brody's living room, focusing on the photo on the mantel. Her judgment seeped through her skin like smoke through a vent. You've let it destroy you from the inside out. But Nina's gone. Take her shit down and throw it away. It's time to let go. Thank you for listening to this reading of the first chapter of The Heir of Light and Shadows. If you wish to support me, you can buy a copy of the full book. It is available on Amazon as a hardcover. It's available online in most retail stores as a paperback, and it's also available on Kindle, and you can read it for free on Kindle Unlimited. Thank you so much, and tune in for next time.